I hear it all the time that communication is what people need to work on. Is why their relationship is struggling. We just need to communicate better. We fight all the time. And the truth is that communication is not actually the problem. Communication, conflict, these are the symptoms of the problem. The real problem is what we're going to get into today. The real problem is that no one understands what the real problem is. And so they're just addressing these symptoms. And that real problem that I'm going to talk about today is what this relationship revolution is all about. If I could simplify this work, like everything that I am here to do, that I'm on a mission for, that I teach my clients, that actually creates change and transformation in relationships, it comes down to this one thing, this root issue, this piece that I want to talk to you about today. You ready to know what it is? I won't keep you waiting. It's a lack of consciousness. It's being on autopilot. And so the work is learning how to get conscious, to get off of autopilot. I'm calling that a return to the light, hence today's title. Welcome back, my friends, to another Catalyst Conversation for a Relationship Revolution, where we challenge the unquestioned assumptions about love and flip that script on what we've been taught or haven't been taught at all, and reveal the truths that no one has told you, so that you not only learn how to do relationships better, but that you become empowered to consciously create the kinds of powerful relationships that your soul and your success deserve, without having to wait on anyone else to change or be different in order to have that. My name is Dr. Jenny Walleg, and I am an award-winning relationship mentor, speaker, author, educator, and co-founder of Powerful Love Relationships. I like to call myself the relationship rebel. I'm an empowerment expert and mentor, and I am an intuitive infinite possibilities guide. And I am here to lead a revolution. I am on a mission to change how we go about our relationships, right? How we understand love. Because nothing, truly nothing, my friends, affects the quality of our lives more than our ability to lead our relationships powerfully, skillfully, and consciously. Relationships are relationship skills, rather, are our success skills, but we don't learn them because no one ever teaches them, right? So I want to change how we learn them, how we live them, how we lead them. I want to raise the collective consciousness in terms of how we relate. I want to raise the collective frequency of love. It's a big mission. I do it through education, empowerment, mentorship, and deeply held support. In particular, I help women entrepreneurs create marriages that lift their souls and fill their hearts and support all of their dreams, even if their partner isn't necessarily doing the work with them at first. Because I believe that we women tend to be the leaders of relationships and are the women entrepreneurs as leaders, as visionaries, are here to lead the change that the world needs, first and foremost. And I work with just women to begin with, although we do have a space for their men or their spouses should they want to do the work alongside them, which is great. I highly recommend it if they're willing. But we can work with just women because The truth that no one tells us is, and the foundation of powerful love is that it only takes one to change a relationship. It takes each of us, it takes all of us, but it only takes one to start or to create the change. It takes you, love. And so if you want to help me, if you want to help us in activating and accelerating this global movement, here's how you can do it. Make sure to comment, like, and subscribe to us on YouTube. Share about our work, attend our events, and of course, do your part in continuing to lead with love. Okay? Now, you ready to get into this conversation? Good. So this month, every month I do a new theme. And in this month, we are exploring what I'm calling the calling, which, the calling is not about fixing your relationship or trying harder. It's about the calling underneath the struggles that we have, right? It's the ache. It's the dissatisfaction that won't go quiet. The calling is that piece of our relationship journey that asks, who are you becoming? What are you being invited into right now? What is the growth and expansion that is needed from you? And today, our conversation, which I've titled The Return to the Light, and yes, it lands right alongside the solstice, which was the inspiration for this conversation today. The solstice, if you're not familiar, is the turning of our season. It's the moment when our dark days, our season of darkness in the earth, at least in this part of the hemispheres, starts turning into our season of light. Our days get longer. The light returns to us. And for me, that holds a lot of meaning. And it's a really beautiful time to reflect on that turning point in our own lives. To reflect on, what and how our own lives move through this cycle of shifting, turning away from the dark and the old and the shadow and toward the light. What does that mean? Yet this conversation isn't intended to be about astrology. It's about consciousness, the light of our own consciousness, because the relationship revolution isn't something that comes. The relationship revolution is something that awakens. Okay? It's a remembering that happens within each of us first and foremost, right? The relationship revolution is when each of us chooses our consciousness over our comfort, where we remember who we really are. We remember love. We wake up to what's real and not what we're afraid of. It's when we choose intentionality over autopilot. We respond instead of react. That's the revolution. That's the work, my loves. And it always, always begins with those of us who are willing to return to the light first. Which is why, this idea of it only takes one to change a relationship is so important, because in the old paradigm of it takes two, it's like you both need to turn on your lights at the same time, or I'll return to the light when they do. Somebody's got to fucking turn on the light first. And guess what happens when you return to your light? It shines a light on their shadows. They start to light up too. They cannot be in the presence of your light and stay in their darkness the same way. They will either step into the light with you, or they will withdraw further into the darkness. And the very least, it creates clarity. Do you understand? Like, I know there's metaphor in this. It seems poetic, doesn't it? Sure is. It's poetic. Lovely. Lovely way of saying this, talking about this. And it's fucking real. And you're not going to know it until you're doing it, but you will see your relationship transform. I'm not just blowing smoke up your ass, my friends. I'm not just trying to paint a pretty picture. This is not easy work. If you've gone on spiritual journeys or consciousness journeys, or if you've tried to do your own awakening, it is not fucking easy. Take the woo out of it. You want to talk science? I can talk science with you. We are rewiring neural networks, and our brain doesn't like it. It takes a lot of energy. It's hard work. We associate energy with work, and there's a lot of resistance because our brains think that anything that is new or taking energy and work is unsafe and dangerous. Our brains want to be lazy. We are built for energy conservation. So you are going to come up against a lot of parts of you that do not want to be in the light, that do not want to be in consciousness, that do not want to be intentional, that do not want to remember, that do not want to stay awake, that do not want to pick the path of greater resistance, that want to do it the easy way, the lazy way, which is autopilot. But that's where communication is going to break down and conflict's going to happen, and you're going to fall back into old patterns that don't work for you, that don't serve you. Don't get me wrong. I'm fully aware of this, and I still do it myself. I've gotten wildly better at not, but it is still a practice. And some days are easier than others. And some days I really fucking suck at it. But the good news is the more that you do it, the more aware you are of it, the more that you choose it and practice it, the easier it is to shorten the distance, like between like when you fucked up and when you get like back into the light and create repair, and lengthen the distance between the times during which you've fallen back into those patterns. That's the goal. There's longer and longer gaps between when you've fallen back into old patterns and gone back into autopilot. And then when you have gone into autopilot, the time you spend in that place is shorter, less intense, and does a hell of a lot more damage, or a hell of a lot less damage. That's the reality. The idea that we're going to have these perfect relationships where we never fight, where we never get on each other's nerves, where we're both at our best, where we're just like always communicating really well. We can arrive at mutual understanding and agreement, where we're both horny at the same time. I mean, it sounds great in Hollywood movies at the end of a drama sequence, but in real life, I don't know that I actually believe it. I mean, I've heard people say that they've created relationships like that, and maybe they've had some kind of spiritual awakening that they can, and like kudos for them. Aim high, my friend. Like I'll hold out hope that like Cal and I can get there. And in the meantime, I am happy that we know the path and can keep growing and expanding into it. And this is what I am here to lead a global movement to be able to do, is to move into consciousness and into what it really means to love. By the way, I'm totally off script. So if this goes long, sorry. But I'm just being moved by source, and what I thought I was going to talk about isn't quite the way I'm going, and that's okay. Because this is what needs to be said. And like when we are all aware, when if everyone on the planet was aware that this was the work, that our job was to become conscious of ourselves, of what was coming up within us, of why we were wanted to respond that way, and of this core question, which is the question that we teach to all of our paying clients, right? Like, what's my next move? What is the next best move I could make? What, like, my conscious response that is more likely to get me to the outcome that I ultimately desire? No, that sounds like an easy question to answer. It's not. A lot of people aren't even aware of the choices that they have, um, or think that it's possible to get to what they desire. So I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole, but I just want you to know, sounds like an easy question, not always easy to answer. And that's part of the skill we develop, is how to open up more choices for ourselves. But like when you can bring yourself into that consciousness and develop the skill of opening up some choices, now you're reorienting yourself and aligning with love. And then instead of being in autopilot, self-protection, because that's what autopilot is. It is coming from the place of our brains that evolutionarily is at a lower level of consciousness. It's the reptilian brain that operates in survival, in fight, flight, freeze, and fawn, which is disconnection, which is not love and connection. It does not honor our oneness. It does not honor our relationality. It puts us in a me versus you. It creates separation, black and white thinking, rigidity, conflict, like walls, and inability to be influenced or to shift perspectives. Or, I mean, like, this is where couples get stuck, right? Because they've moved into that positionality. What we all desire when we're in those positions is for our partner to soften and come into connection with us. They also desire for us to soften and come into connection with them. Who's going to move first? It's a power struggle. Someone's got to be willing to return to the light first. But what if, and this is the thing, like, what if both people were committed to returning to the light first? And what if we could remind each other, hey, neither of us are in the light. Can we both return to the light? And because we both had made that commitment, then we both do it. And even if both people aren't on board, I mean, like, that's the ideal, right? But even if both, like, you can. And by you being in the light, you feel fucking better. You feel better, love. And when you feel better and your frequency raises, do you think you're going to have a better chance of getting a warm and positive response from your partner when you are connected to love, as opposed to self-protection? When you are in your power and sovereignty, your truth and your alignment, and you are consciously choosing, responding intentionally rather than just reacting, are you going to be more likely to get a positive response from them? Maybe even not in the moment, but like eventually. Is your relationship more likely to get to where you want it to go, or less likely? Probably more likely, because you made that choice. Had nothing to do with them. That's relational leadership. That's the work. That's what this is all about. All of it. That's the revolution. I don't know if I've ever said it this clearly before. I don't know if I've ever expressed it this clearly before. So thank you, Source, for channeling this through me in this way. Okay, I guess I should look at my notes and see if there's anything else. Like, am I complete? Do I need to say anything else today? Oh my gosh. Hmm. Okay, so a couple little points I'm going to sprinkle in. They may feel dissonant from from the flow I was just in, Yet, I think that they were still like relevant and important little nuggets I wanted to give you today. So I don't want I maybe I will still give them to you. Um, uh, one is that there's this idea that the way that love should feel is to be very soothing and stabilizing and comfortable, and that's not what love always is. Ah, thank you, source. This is why I had to come back to this one, because I had wanted to share with you what the definition of love is, which is really relevant to where I was before, and I hadn't yet gotten there, but this is a really good segue. We misunderstand what love really means, what it really means to love, and this is again part of what I am here to change in the world. Love is not just something we feel. It's not just a good feel good feeling. There's actually a different word for that. It's cathexis. Um, Love, the best definition that I have of love, is the willingness to extend one's self for the greatest good and highest, or for the greatest good and spiritual growth of all. Sometimes that's uncomfortable. I was just talking to a client today about how she was not confronting her partner about something that he was avoiding in their relationship. And he was avoiding it because he was uncomfortable. And he didn't want her to bring it up. It was a part of her life that he didn't want to hear about because it made him uncomfortable. And he didn't. And I asked her, like, is that okay with you? Or is that acceptable? And she's like, no, because I want to be loved, but he doesn't want to hear about it. So what am I supposed to do? I'm like, what you're supposed to do is tell him that's not acceptable, that it hurts you. And she's like, well, I don't want to make myself sad. I'm like, honey, you're supposed to be sad. You're not making yourself sad. The loving thing is the willingness to extend yourself, the willingness to put yourself on the line, to risk yourself for the highest good and spiritual growth of both of you. Now, the highest good and spiritual growth for him is to learn how to tolerate the discomfort, whatever was coming up within him when he had to confront this piece of her. Because there's healing that needed to happen for him. And if he's not confronting it, he can't heal. Also, there's an opportunity for him to learn how to love her in her fullness. And if he is not loving her in her fullness, if he consistently insists that, like, I love you and I want to be with you, but only if you show up with your arm cut off. And I don't ever have to see that ugly part of you. Or that it wasn't even ugly. It was a beautiful part. It just like made him feel insecure. Like, you think the relationship is going to be good and healthy and lasting, or is there going to be resentment that builds and a cancer that grows? That's not loving. That's avoidance. That's fear guiding the relationship. That's reptilian brain. That's low level consciousness. That is not high level consciousness. That's darkness. That's not light. For her, the loving thing to do for her is also to insist that her feelings matter, that her fullness matters, that she deserves love for all of her. And that she is unwilling to settle for anything less. And that she insists that he does some growing. Even if it means she risks losing him. Even if it means he's going to be upset and throw a temper tantrum about it. That's not comfortable. That's not love that feels soothing. But it is fucking loving. Do you see that? Do you see that difference? That is love, my friends. That is a revolution. That is how we grow. That is how we grow. That is how we support one another. That is how we love one another. That is how we lift one another up to our best selves. That is how we honor one another. and ourselves. We cannot give up ourselves. We cannot abandon ourselves. We cannot sacrifice ourselves for the sake of comfort in our relationships, for the sake of controlling our partner's emotions. Because the truth is, if you are trying not to upset your partner, not from a loving place of like, I want to be conscious of how I engage so as I don't like wound, that's loving. But as in like, I need to hide this part of myself or not share this part of myself or shrink myself or not bring this up or tiptoe around because I'm afraid that if I share my truth, if I ask for what I really need, if I hold my partner accountable, they're going to be upset. They're not going to like what I have to say. So I won't. That is a way of controlling your partner's emotions by not giving them the opportunity to grow through something hard. And growth is often uncomfortable and hard. So we, this return to the light asks us to step in and step up. Not an easy path, like I said, right? We're confronting questions like, how do I stay open? Even when disappointment would rather close me down. How do I find the courage to stay honest, even when silence would be so much easier? How do I stay loyal to myself, even when a part of me wants to shrink back and just do what's familiar because it'll be less disruptive to my life? This, my friends, is the courage of consciousness that no one talks about. This, my friends, is the root of the problem that most couples are not addressing. So we try to communicate better. We try to resolve our conflicts without learning how to stay conscious. Because as soon as we go unconscious in our communication, or as soon as the next problem shows up and we move back into our autopilot patterns and programming, our non-conscious parts show up, we're in the same place again. Which is why it feels like, I thought we were past this. I thought we had this figured out. I thought we agreed this wouldn't happen again. I thought you said you were going to change. And it's infuriating and defeating and heart-wrenching, and it erodes relationships. But it's also not entirely your fault, because no one's really peeling back the layers and talking about what it really takes. And so, happy solstice. I wanted you to have this. Again, this is the revolution. It's not about getting someone else to change. It is about choosing consciousness and having the courage to keep returning to the light, returning to yourself, to your truth, and to what it really means to love. And going on that journey of building your capacity, because it's not something you're going to be able to automatically do. Like I said, I've been practicing this for a long time, still not always great at it, but it's building the capacity, going on the journey to build the capacity to choose differently, to choose consciously. But when you do, when you can, when you develop that, it's so worth it, because you don't have to struggle the way you did, right? And you don't have to stop, or you don't have to keep giving away your own knowing, or asking permission to be yourself, or confusing comfort with peace. You get to choose truth. You get to choose love. You get to create something that is real, that lives in the light. that gets to be the kind of relationship that most people only dream of, but have no idea how to create. Or, like I said, like if your relationship, if your partner can't come with you into the light, then you get that clarity sooner without dragging it out and suffering. And then you get to heal, and you get to rebuild from consciousness and light, and create a life that is in alignment and power and sovereignty for you, love. And then you're no longer lost, because you've come home to yourself. You've come home to love, and you're building on a foundation that creates truly extraordinary relationships. That's the revolution. Okay. 30 minutes, not too bad. So, a quick reminder, I didn't say this in the beginning, but I want to always make an invitation into the Relationship Revolution membership program. This is our monthly membership where we take these teachings and move them from learning and ideas, which are inspiring and great, and move them into practice and application in the context of community and support and accountability, which is how transformation really occurs. So if you're the kind of person who knows that you want to go deeper and you want some support along the way, this is a great entry point to getting that. It's only $147 a month, and you can cancel at any time. So come in and give it a shot. The link to learn more and sign up is in the description. I also would love to invite you to, if you are resonating with the journey of coming home to yourself and stepping into your truth and your power as a woman, as an entrepreneurial woman in particular, I'm launching a new mastermind in 2026. And it is, I think, the most powerful body of work that I have yet created, or that we have created in Powerful Love. I am leading it. This has been given to me from source, and I'm really excited about it. So if you would like more information about Fulfilled, please reach out, comment, or DM or email me with Fulfilled. I will love to have a conversation with you about how I can support you in moving through this passage from the threshold of like, enough, I can't keep doing this. I need something more and better, and something has got to change. And you don't know how, but you know that you're ready for it to change, whether or not your partner comes with you into that change. This is the container and the support that walks with you into that change, and helps you find your fulfillment through love, through legacy, through all parts of your life, with sacred sisterhood and high-level mentorship and support and a relational leadership lens. I'm really excited about it. So anyway, I'll say that. I think I'll leave it at this for today. Know, dear ones, that it may feel harder to stay awake, but that's the beginning. When you do this work and you practice it enough, it simply becomes who you are, because love is who you are. Light is our home. And the calling is a return to this truth. And when we practice it and remember and our brains like settle in and realize we're safe. The truth is, it's way easier than the drain and the struggle and the energy output we've been doing and giving in being unfulfilled, trying to do relationships the hard way, the old way, the way that doesn't work, the way that keeps us in separation, me versus you. No, it's not. Welcome to the relationship revolution, right? I will see you next Friday for another Catalyst conversation. Every Friday at 12:30 Pacific. Until then, keep leading with love, dear one.